Aloha and welcome to the Lionsgate Activate. We are here today to talk about the Lionsgate, but we're also going to talk about everything that's associated with it. So, whether you get to see this video, whether you come upon it right in August, or if you don't come upon it till December, there will probably be something here for you. Lionsgate has to do with the rising of Sirius in the sky. And it was originally, well, as far as I know, originally celebrated in ancient Egypt as the time of the flooding of the Nile, so that was a time of great prosperity. It was a time when the soil became more enriched. It was a time when you got off your land and you went to go work for Pharaoh or someone else, or you traveled because you couldn't be on your land if it was farmland because it was inundated with the Nile. But without that inundation, then it's just desert. So, something that is teaching us is that sometimes when things seem horrible for us, like nothing is going right, like a flood is just taking over our land and it's something we can't do anything about, sometimes it's actually for our best interest. And it's actually directing us towards something else or creating something that is going to help us in the long run. This is something we really need to understand and really need to be open to as we move forward. Because if we look at everything in a negative and we're always, pining for the past or I wanted it to happen this way, we don't know where everything leads. We might have an idea of how we would like to get someplace or where we would like to go, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the best thing for us. How many times as a teenager or a young adult did you think the best thing for you was getting to that party and, drinking or doing whatever else? When really it is not. It just turned out to be trouble. Maybe you got arrested. Maybe one of your friends got hurt. Maybe there was a fist fight. That being said, we need to recognize that we don't always know cognitively what is best for us. Our spirit does, our intuition does, but cognitively, our cognitive senses, our brain only sees what is on the surface. We could dig a little bit, but we're just scratching the surface. We're just going by known quantities and what we've done previously to see what we should be doing next. Whereas your intuition has all of time that it is looking at. Your cellular system, even, is looking at your entire lineage. It's got all that information stored. So, when making a decision, yes, it's good to cognitively make a decision and weigh the pros and cons and that kind of thing. But if your intuition, which is generally housed in your solar plexus, is telling you no, and that's when your solar plexus get tight, it feels like it's pulling you backwards. If it's telling you no, then you need to walk away. You need to do things differently. There's something that needs to be changed because your intuition will always tell you if something is dangerous ahead and if it is not for your greatest good. So, when would you be walking into danger that it was your greatest good? I mean, that's a far out concept. There are times when we have to go through a rough patch, run up a mountain, sprain our ankle, and something else will come out of it that's good. So maybe the first instance isn't good, but then everything that comes out of it turns out to be great. I always tell the story about one of my early clients when I was much younger, and I saw that she was going to get into a really horrific car accident, and it was going to be bad. Her whole life was going to be changed by this, but at the end of it, her life would be great. And that's what we're talking about, is not pushing away the difficult times because of what we think it's going to bring, and instead look at the possibilities. After all, there are so many things that can't be done without first breaking something. We would never know the beauty of a geode, which is the crystals inside of a stone, unless that stone is broken. You can't see it through the stone. So In my estimation, this is the first and one of the most important lessons for the Lion's Gate. Is it teaches you that overcoming obstacles and accepting difficulties as blessings can bring you much further in life. Not only are you stronger and more resilient, but you are actually accepting the blessings of spirit, the blessings of God, of Christ, of whatever you want to call it, the universe, the all that is. You'll notice in my discussions that I use several different names for God. In most of the holy books, God has at least 72 names, so I think that God's okay with that. I prefer to refer to God as Spirit with a capital S, as in the Holy Spirit. Sometimes I will switch around the name. Feel free to use whatever works best for you and whatever you are most comfortable with. That's fine. Now, what is Lionsgate? It is August 8th. Every year, it's August 8th is the Lionsgate. Why do we pick August 8th? August is the 8th month, the 8th day of the month. The number 8 has a lot of meaning and value. In my understanding of numerology, the number 8 is all about learning a lesson and being taught and being open to learning. So it's about really broadening your horizons. Flip 8 on its side, and of course, it is the symbol of infinity. The symbol of infinity is also the symbol of equal flow. In order to really thrive, we need to be in a position of equal flow. What does equal flow mean? Equal flow is when I am giving, you are receiving, and then you are giving, and I am receiving. So it's equal in and out. And in any relationship, it's never 100% or seldom 100% equal. In most relationships, it pulls more one way than another at different times. You might be sick. I might be stressed. And at different times, we give more than we receive, or we receive more than we give. And that's okay, as long as it balances out in the end. That's the point of that. I have promised that we're going to look at the tarot to see how the tarot reflects the number 8 in its auspicious and learning attributes. 8 is the teacher. So the first deck that I'm going to use is the Rider-Waite deck. And I don't know if you could see this properly on your screen or if it's reversed, but it's the Rider-Waite deck. And the Rider-Waite deck is the most well-known deck. It was one of the first decks that was fully illustrated. And all the information that you're looking for, the occult information, is within this deck because there's so much symbolism in each card that each card can be read completely by itself and being given as a full reading. It's a beautiful, wonderful deck. They've done it 100 different ways and all different kind of color palettes and stuff. I like going back to the original when I'm teaching because it has everything there. And then we'll move on to other decks that are more stylized. I'm going to be using 3 decks today. Okay. Number 8 of them. Here we go. On, guy. All right. It's not going to do it. Number 8 of the major arcana, which is the first part of the tarot. This is the journey of the fool. I teach a whole course called the Soul of Tarot, which will help you learn how to read not just this deck, but any deck. And if you're interested in that, you can go to my website. It's done as a video course. And sometimes when I get groups of 5 or more together, I will do it in person or over Zoom. And other times I do have all the videos up there for you to access as your time permits. Okay. This is Rider-Waite Tarot. Number 8, major arcana is strength. And strength in this deck is seen as a beautiful woman, young woman, virgin maybe, a maiden, and she is affectionately holding a lion. So the beautiful maiden is considered like our highest qualities. The maiden is our highest selves. It is being compassionate. It is having empathy. It is being loving and having that loving nature. It is being fierce when you need to be fierce. It is being it's our feminine natures, or the best of our natures, whether you consider it feminine or not. But that's what the maiden is representing here. You'll notice she has the infinity symbol over her head, which is a sideways 8. And we already talked about what that means. That means that she is in the flow. She is constantly giving and receiving. I think one of the things that we often forget or we don't pay attention to is that you need to be able to receive as well as give. If you're only doing one, you're draining yourself or you're draining someone else. As a woman, I know I was raised to always give, give, give. I come last. I'm the last one to sit at the table, even though I'm the one who cooked dinner. I'm the last one when we're buying things. I make sure the family is taken care of first. I'm the last one to get things. But we need to have the ability to receive so that we can refill our cup. It's when we only value the giving that we end up being imbalanced and then we fall apart. I mean, it causes illness, stress, breaks up in marriages, and all kinds of negative aspects, negative consequences. She has a crown on her head, and the crown is made of beautiful little flowers and things. And that's showing her connection to nature, and that her connection to nature is one of integrity and nobility, as in being a princess or a goddess, however you want to look at her. She's cloaked in white, which is being open and innocent. But she's got a lot of greenery around her, like around her waist, and that is about being fertile and bringing more to the table. And then the lion itself, you can see the lion's tail is between his legs. So he is completely submitting to her. And the lion is strong and fierce, and that's our primal nature. And her empathy and compassion is helping to contain this primal nature. And we could see in the background, there is a mountain, which often indicates like there was some kind of trial or tribulation, either that we're going to have to overcome or that we've already come from. The way I look at this card, it usually is that you've overcome something, and that's helped to teach you how to overcome your primal instincts. And the lion is usually orange or red, and that is a very basic color. It's the base chakra or the root chakra. So that's more physical, whereas she's more spiritual. So that is strength in the Rider-Waite Tarot. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these with as much detail, but this one is very important because I feel like this really gives you a good encapsulation of what 8 means and being open to and what we're supposed to learn and how we're supposed to use it. We all know August is Leo time because it's my birthday, right? So Leos are known for being very generous and being really out there, and we're very big. We have big egos sometimes and really big presence. And the thing about a Leo that is in its element is that a Leo is the type of person who commands a room, and they can be very overbearing, or they can be like she is, comforting and helping to guide as opposed to subdued. So it's a different way of containing things. You know what? I'm going to do this as I'll do the same suit in each because they're done a little bit differently. So the second one is very akin to the Rider Waite, and we have the Tarot Grand Luxe. I love this deck. It is so gorgeous. You will see why in a second. So there's 8, and it's strength. And you can see the beautiful girl. She's on the lion. She appears to be riding the lion. I don't know if that's actually what's happening or not, but it's very similar to this card where she is very like the physical embodiment of nature. She is Mother Nature. She is Mother Nature in female form. She has, you could see around her, it's like fall leaves, like things are getting ready. August is hot. Things are dying, but things are dying in preparation for the winter time where everything takes its time to decompose and go into the soil so that the soil is then rich in temperate climates anyway. And then in the spring, everything is revived again. So we see that she is directing the lion and she's in green, which is creativity, it's healing, it's very earthy. And it's a very similar message to this one. This one, of course, has more in it because you have the whole background and everything, but you can get just as much out of this card because you're using your intuition, not just looking at the card. So, so that's strength in these two. What I find interesting is many decks, what they do to be different is they will change some of the cards, like the numbers and the major arcana. So we are looking at the Angel Tarot deck by Rodley and Valentine. So this is the Angel Tarot, and they did change it. They made number 8 be Justice. So Justice is similar to Strength in that it is a balancing out. Strength shows the balance between your primal physical nature and your spiritual nature. Justice is very similar in that it shows like you need to balance like that knee-jerk reaction to what is right, and what is right not just for you but for those around you, for the greater good. So Justice again is telling you to go deeper within your body, to go into your intuition, into your I want to say psychic senses, even though that bothers some people. Go into that and pull that out in order to make better decisions. They're more well-rounded decisions because they're looking further. They have a lot more to do with what is ahead of you. Okay, and again, that's the Angel Tarot cards. And usually when they do change the order of the cards, they'll do it with a couple and they'll just swap them, and it will generally be because they are similar in nature. Some people just do it or create different names for the cards because they want to be unique. Okay, now we have the 4 elements, and the 4 elements are depicted in Tarot as the 4 different suits, and the suits sometimes are named different things. So I will go through these, but the elements are earth, air, fire, and water. I think it's the direction that I went with them. So earth is pentacles, air is swords, fire is wands, and water is cups. Earth is your physical nature and what's happening around you physically. Air is your intellect, your intellectual nature, and doing things using more the brain. Fire is the fire in your belly. It's about like moving on things. It's about initiation. It's about being enthusiastic and moving forward and using like energy for that, a higher energy for that. On the positive side. And then there's water, which is cups, and cups is emotion and the emotional self and your relationships. So when we're talking about the Rider Waite, number 8 in pentacles or coins, that's your earth. So pentacles and coins is about your fortune. It's about physical things, how things are doing on a physical level. So number 8 is showing that there's a worker. He's very adept at his trade. He's almost done, but not quite. You could see that he still has a little bit of work underneath him. So he still has a little bit to do, but he's very accomplished and he is very focused on his work. So it's more about being focused about what you're going to be doing. And through this focus, you're going to get better and better. Practice makes perfect, basically. Then we go with the Grand Lux. And the 8 of coins is very similar. The difference is that in this 8 of coins, he's studying. It's not necessarily that he's working physically with his hands on something, but he's working on something mentally. And he is preparing. He is getting ready for something. He is educating himself. So that is 8 of coins there. And then I'm just going to do this. For the Angel Tarot, there is the 8 of Earth. So the 8 of Earth is very similar again. So you have an angel, but he's reading, he's got his books here. He is in the midst of really growing, really learning, really expanding himself and who he is. So 8 of Earth is very similar to the other two. There's not a lot of difference here. The difference between the Rider Waite and the other two is that the other two kind of what they're doing is they're accentuating or emphasizing education, whereas this is more about learning with your hands and using your whole body. Does it really make a difference in a reading? It might, depends on where your eye falls, but again, that's not what we're doing here. We're doing the number 8 and what it emphasizes. So it does emphasize growth and understanding and coming to a new decision on things. This is one of my favorite cards. And people could be like, why is that a favorite card for you? I'm going to do the Grand Lux Tarot and the Rider Waite at the same time. And these are 8 of Swords. So when we look at the 8 of Swords, we're looking at someone who is fairly loosely bound. They're surrounded by swords, though, which can be fear. It can be their belief system. We're looking at them. They seem to have the ability to get out of this tough spot, but they're not doing it. So 8 is about learning about the truth in where you are, or the truth about your situation, and to really ascertain what is going on and not make assumptions, not allow fear to be your driving force. You want your own intuition to be your driving force. And this shows how this person, you could see the use of red, the use of white in both of these cards. And she is capable of saving herself. It's just a matter of whether or not she decides to do so. And that's where the number 8 comes from. You are in control, more in control than you think. It has to do with really assessing what is around you. And then 8 of Air, again, same message. It's illusion. It's like you feel like you're trapped, but you're not really trapped. You're trapping yourself with your own fears. And 8 is all about expansion, and it's all about like really taking a look of really assess what's around you energetically and otherwise, and then make use of that in whatever way you're going to do that. So it's about recognizing that you are in an illusion. Okay. Wands are fire. So again, I'm going to do these two because they're very similar to one another. We had the Eight of Wands. You see this is beautiful, isn't it? So the Eight of Wands is about, you can either see these wands as coming from you or moving towards you. They're either coming or going. They're either going down into the land or they're rising up. Depending on how you see them, will give you a good idea of what's happening right now. So if you're watching in the chat down below, just let me know, like, do you see these as coming towards you or going from you? Did you just let these loose or are they falling on you? Is it coming or going, up or down? Right, one or the other, however you're seeing these. So these are about inspiration and ideas. And if it's going from you, it could be something that you're creating, or it could be that you're missing something that you feel like it's getting past you, it's moving past you, and you're not quite getting it, you're not quite gripping it. Each one is different to me. Yeah, they are very different. If you see them as like falling to the earth, they could be ideas that are taking root. They're ideas that are coming to fruition, because fire is all about potential and it's all about energy. It's all about being out there and what's happening out there right now. So if you're seeing it as falling on you, or you get a sense like, oh, these things are coming at me, it could be a sense of overwhelm, like there's too much for you to take stock in. And again, it's about releasing the fear and looking what's actually there and being able to utilize that. Okay, and then we have Eight of Fire. Wait till you see this one's beautiful. It's just gorgeous. So this is a cacophony of colors and movement. So the Eight of Fire in this deck has a lot more to do with like everything is moving at once. You've been waiting a while and all of a sudden everything is moving. What are you going to do with it? Which way are you going to go? Are you going to follow it? Are you going to ride it? What are you doing with this wave that's happening right now? It's about things being in motion, which is the same in the other decks. This is shown a little bit different. It shows it a little bit different in each deck, but it's basically the same. Okay, that's interesting. Had an experience where I saw them come in and move to the right answer. As they left, it moved to the left. Very interesting. So you need to look at these things, how it pertains to you, and being open to all the different explanations that it could possibly be, and being able to like suss out each of them will help you ascertain more what you're supposed to get. What message are you specifically supposed to get from that? But Eight of Fire, it's like everything is moving at once, everything's coming at you at once, or everything's starting to go at once. And it's about grabbing that energy and riding it and doing something with it, helping it move forward. So now we're going to do the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups, again, and these two is pretty similar. I mean, this is very stylized. It's beautiful. This is beautiful in its own right. There's more, I'd say more information in this one, but it's actually, you can get just as much information out of either of them. But so the Eight in this is showing someone walking away from the cups. Now in the Rider-Waite, we see that the man is in red. And because they are in red and they have red shoes and they're walking away and they have their staff in their hand, that could be that they're looking for something better. They're finally ready to leave this situation, which could be a bad relationship. It could be a job. It could be, you know, knowing that someone in their family, they need to cut them off. So the Eight of Cups, which is emotional, shows you that there are things that you need to walk away from. And it is difficult to do so, but it's necessary oftentimes to save yourself. So we see in this one that a cup is knocked over. And we see that he is walking towards the light. So he's walking towards something as opposed to walking away from something. If you want to look at it that way, you can look at it as they are now enlightened. They see things in a different light. If we look in the Rider Waite, there's a lot of eclipse stuff in Rider Waite. There's a lot of that imagery. And when we see the eclipse imagery, an eclipse generally means that things are seen in a whole new way. If you've ever been through an eclipse and you've been outside during an eclipse, it's amazing, like the difference. Yes, it gets dark, but it's not the same dark as it does like at night. And especially if it's a partial eclipse or as it's going in and out, the shadows change, like everything around you changes. So you see things very differently. And that's the meaning of an eclipse generally when you're looking at different decks. And then we have the Eight of Water and the Angel Tarot. And again, the Eight of Water is taking an assessment of what's happening and making a choice. Like, what are you going to let go of? It's time to make a choice and let go of something and move away from that. It's about like searching for something that actually holds something for you, as opposed to just sticking with the same old that really is not feeding your soul. Okay, so those are the eights, and we talked about what eight means specifically. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Lion's Gate itself. The Lion's Gate is an astrological occurrence which happens every year, and it generally takes place over a number of days. I don't want to say it's exactly X amount of days because I don't know. Because I just feel the energy. And as we're moving up towards its climax, you'll feel like a lot of frustration. You feel a lot of anxiety. It might be like depression. But basically, what's happening is things are coming up that you need to look at, that you need to know. And this happens often for us. There are certain cycles where it's really in your face. It's really a lot more than normal. And in order to help us move through this more, what's the word I want to look for? Smoothly, to move through it more smoothly, instead of it feeling like we're in a dishwasher getting, thrown all over the place. There are different things that we can do to allow for this. One is we need to really make space for ourselves to really examine things. It is a great idea to journal at this time. Anything that comes up, anything that's popping into your head, it might be like, why is that in my head now? I thought I dealt with that. Just write it down and see what comes out. Like, start writing about whatever the emotion is or whatever the memory is, and see if something new comes of it, or if you have a new epiphany about it. Journaling is always good. You need to get rest, which is very hard during these times, because if you're highly intuitive and you feel this rush of energy coming in, sometimes it's not easy to fall asleep. You may not be able to fall into a deep sleep like you would like to, but take time to rest. And if that means going into a deeper meditation, if that means sitting under a tree or laying in the grass, do so, because you need to recharge, whatever that looks like for you. Another thing you could do is utilize your crystals and your gemstones. The crystals for this time of year, best known is peridot. And peridot is a crystal that is created from the ocean entry of lava. There's a plethora of it in Hawaii. The young peridot is known as olivine, and the older from the mantle is known as peridot. So that stone is a sunstone. It's about prosperity. It's about having a good relationship. It's a heart stone. It helps to open your heart, but it could also protect your heart. So I have videos about peridot specifically, and about it being a financial stone as well as a protection stone. So it's something you can look at. We're not going to go over that right now. We're just doing it real quick. What stones do you want to be wearing and have around you at this time? I'm looking to see there's one that I didn't grab. That's okay. So you have peridot, and then you have citrine. And citrine is a brown to yellow stone. This is, it's very, very high vibration. It's called the merchant stone. Again, a stone of prosperity, but it's a good cleansing stone because within 6 feet, it will clear whatever is around it. It will raise the vibration. It's a really good stone for that. When you see some of the citrine, some of them are heat treated to make them turn yellow, and they're actually amethyst, but amethyst is a good stone also. But citrine itself is, again, a stone of the sun. It's one that like reflects the sun's energy or brings the sun's energy to you. And the sun's energy can be both destructive and very healing and help you grow, as well as, you know, we've all had a sunburn. It can hurt. Too much of a good thing and all that. Then we go into, this is carnelian, which is another August stone. And this is the oldest carnelian I have. I actually obtained this carnelian, I think in 1995. It has traveled with me all over the place. I love this carnelian. It has all the different colors of the carnelian, just like this one does. So it goes from like a milky yellow all the way to almost black. And they are like an orange reddish. It is an agate. And carnelian is really good for focus. It helps you to look at things in a particular way. They're great to have with you as you're working or if you're trying to remember something. It's also, I believe, one of the stones on the breastplate of Aaron in the Bible. It is good not only for focus, but also for protection and helping us create, helping us go from the idea into the manifestation of whatever it is we're trying to create. Then we have our fool's gold, pyrite, beautiful stone. Again, protective while being good for finances also. Another stone of the sun. It brings in that energy. Then I'm going to do 2 others, and then I'm going to get to one of my favorites. So this is a labradorite. So in labradorite will either shine blue or gold. This one kind of has blue and gold in it. I'm not sure how well you could see it with the camera, but you can see it has those flashes there. Labradorite is good for really bringing things into your awareness from your subconscious and also from your intuition. And then we have everybody's favorite. Let me see if I can. This is a piece of, there's another piece I should have gotten that was easier to see, but this is a piece of lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli comes primarily from Afghanistan, and it ranges in color from this dark blue, and it'll have somewhat white, but always has gold flecks of pyrite in it. 2, they call it denim lapis, which is more of the grays, I guess, more like this, which they used to throw out because they felt it didn't have any usefulness. It wasn't. This is like gemstone quality, and this would not be considered gemstone quality. But for our purposes, it doesn't matter the quality of the stone. It works the same. It still does the same thing. It's about what you're attracted to or what attracts you. So lapis is used for the third eye. It opens the third eye. It helps you with your intuition. It helps you to tap in to your higher self and connect with source. It also helps to activate any talents that you have, but it's also very, very protective. It is one of the stones of Egypt and was used very often in Egypt in their different decorative jewelry and things. and also used for protection, because it will protect the third eye. It will open you up, but not open you up for anything to come in. It opens you up so that you can pick and choose what you're going to experience, or what it is that you need to see. Another one of my favorites, this is gold calcite. I have a really big piece of this in the other room, but this one is my favorite. It sits right on my solar plexus when I'm doing different work. If like I'll have it in front of me, I can have it on my lap. What calcite does is calcite will align all your chakras. I love this gold calcite specifically because it really connects with my solar plexus, and it helps to really pull in that sun energy. And a lot of what we're talking about today has to do with that sun energy. I have on orange, I have on all bright colors, like I'm a rainbow. And that is what we're shooting for today. At the end of this video, what we're going to do is I will start a second video, which will be up. The second video will be the activation, the actual journey. The reason why I split them is so that if you just want to go to the journey, you can. But if you want to watch the whole thing, you can do that. I am not a video editor. I did it many moons ago when I actually used film, but I don't do it now. So that's why I split it up, and there are actually two different recordings. What are we going to do in our journey? Like what are we looking for right now? As we are in the Lion's Gate, and as I said, the energy has been building, and I think it's been building since the end of July, and it will continue to go until, I think this year it is August 12th. It could go from the 12th to the 17th. Like each year is a little bit different, but this is the crescendo. So on the 8th, that is the time when the alignment is most potent. Because we're talking about learning and integrating our learning and moving forward with that and really tapping into our intuition, what we want to do right now is we want to write down some intentions. We want to look to the next year cycle. What are we hoping to pull into our lives? And this year, 2024, is a little bit different because we have Venus in retrograde. We're also in Mercury retrograde right now. Both of those can be good for like completing cycles, completing things. So with Venus, what happens sometimes is we may have something come back up that we've had before, such as we might be repeating a process with a relationship. Like, I thought I handled this. Why is this coming up again? Well, because there's a deeper layer. Or maybe it's the same person and you thought things had gotten worked out. Now they're acting just as crazy as usual, or you're acting just as crazy as usual. Well, this is because there's still stuff underneath the surface that needs to be looked at and healed. So it's a good time to be doing that and looking at that. If you want to pull in a relationship or you want to repair your current relationship, now is a good time to do that. So it's all about the intention. And it's all about the intention of flowing this energy for maximum healing, maximum strength, and maximum manifestation. Be clear in your intention. If you don't know what your intention should be, one that I like all the time is help me to clear out anything unlike love. So does that mean that you let your abusers come back and all that kind of stuff? No, it does not. Love is love of self as much as it is love of others. And when you really love somebody and they're doing something that is not conducive to their best interest or your best interest, sometimes the most loving thing to do is to walk away from that and allow them to figure it out. Because as long as you're there, many times they're not going to figure it out. Some people call that tough love. I call it just actual love. If you actually love someone, just like if you have a child or a dog and you actually discipline them, and discipline means to teach, not to beat. And you actually teach them discipline and self-discipline, they're going to get a lot further in life than if you're permissive. So loving something doesn't mean that you just let it go all willy-nilly and allow it to be in danger of its own making or that of others, because you haven't taught it how to look at things or taught them how to look at things. So that's what we're going to do with that. I am going to look real quick and see if there's anything that I forgot. Hold on 1 second. All right. Okay, so I can't get to it, but that's fine. Let me see if Spirit has anything else that we need to. Okay, so Spirit is saying that at this time we can also reverse polarities. So if we're feeling really down, we can use this energy to reverse the polarity and go in a different direction. So it's almost like we're on a diving board, and right now you may be at the down angle, and that will allow you to propel forward. So it's about utilizing the energy in the best way possible, and we can always ask Spirit to do that for us. So before we go into the journey, make sure you have a nice glass of water or something to drink. Water is always best. Bless your water, and we can do that if you remember. You put your hands over it or around it, and you say, I bless this into the service of my soul, and I program it for my highest and greatest good. Amen. And then you kiss it, and you're all blessed. So have your drink ready for when we're finished doing the journey. Have a notebook or something prepared so that when we come out of it, you can just jot down whatever it was you saw or whatever messages you had, because there are times when that can be very short-lived, like because life gets in the way, and then it's hard for you to remember. So if you do it as soon as you come out, it's a lot easier. Also, then you have a record, and like journaling, you're keeping a record so you see how things change and how you're maneuvering through things over time. Before we get to that, I do want you all to know that I do lives here on YouTube, but I'm also on Facebook on my homepage. Although the other platforms are getting more and more stringent with who is allowed to do a live stream, so I'm not sure what's going to happen as time goes on. I do have a Rumble account just in case any of that decides that you're not worthy anymore. Also, right now, I'm doing two things. For the month of August, I'm doing a 50% off sale for my readings. So to do a full hour reading right now is only $262 and I think 50 cents or something like that. Whereas usually it's $525. So if you want to get in on that, go to my website, GeralynSt.Joseph.com. Also, I am offering soul empowerment, which is getting yourself back together or pulling yourself back together, where we do a series of different clearings that become more intense as time goes on. And I do have those clearings that you can purchase separately on my website. And those are the video recordings of them that you can go through, and you can buy them separately, or you can do it with me. I'm going to be doing that in the next few weeks, and I will be letting you know when that happens. And that is a paid session. Let's get ready to do our journey. I am Geralyn St. Joseph. I am a psychic intuitive. You can find me on Facebook, Geralyn St. Joseph. on YouTube at Geralyn St. Joseph, Saint being ST, and my first name begins with a G. It's been a pleasure. I hope you learned something. If you have any comments or questions or anything like that, please put it in the chat below and let me know. Right now, we're going to sign off and we're going to have a little discussion for those who are part of my mystery, mystics, and metaphysics, as well as my relationship empowerment groups on meetup.com. And we're going to have a little bit of a discussion, and then we're going to go into the journey. If you're still with me here, the journey is on a separate video and it should be coming up next. Mahalo and blessings.